Welcome to The Point, another of these programs, and we have a special guest today. He's a young guy, he's 22, he's an assistant pastor. Have I got the right word? Assistant pastor?
Yes, you did, you got the right word.
And he'll tell you about his church, but also we became very good friends recently in Israel on the Revelation TV 10th anniversary tour to Israel in March 2013, because I hadn't met Tim before. So let me introduce you straight away to Tim Cooling. Welcome, Tim, to the show. It's nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
It's really good to have someone so young, 22.
Yes, I am young.
And I believe, if I'm right, this was your first time to Israel.
Yes, it was. It was my first time. I'd never been there before, so yeah.
So just before we go into Israel, just tell us, I believe you're the, is it the assistant pastor, is that right?
Yeah.
Just to say the name of the church.
So I'm the assistant pastor at Elim Christian Centre in Barking.
Right.
And it's right in the centre of Barking, a multicultural church, great church. I love it, so
great.
Yeah.
So how did you actually get onto this Revelation TV tour? It was in March 2013, an 11-day tour you came on.
So one of the hallmarks of this tour for me was generosity, actually. I experienced so much generosity before the tour and during the tour. It was a real highlight for me. And so how I got onto this tour was there's some members of our congregation, Peter and Mary Mason, and they've been avid watchers of Revelation TV for a long time, and I think they've been on a lot of tours before. They knew Howard and they knew Leslie and guys like Tim Vince they were very fond of. So they thought it was important for an assistant pastor to experience Israel because they felt it would give me a better understanding of the Bible and of Jesus. So they paid for me to go, and it was really, really kind of them. I was blown away actually by the fact that they would pay for me to go, and so in March I went to Israel on their generosity, really. So,
well, I remember seeing you at the airport actually, Heathrow.
Yeah.
I thought, well, that guy looks a really nice guy. and within a few hours, we were good friends, weren't we?
Yeah, we were pretty much instantly. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Israel now, and of course, the first place we went to was Jerusalem.
Yes.
So perhaps you'd like to talk about your first impressions of.
Right.
Jerusalem.
Well, we arrived in Jerusalem on the first day. We arrived in I think it was where was it? We arrived Tel Aviv. We arrived in Tel Aviv airport, and we drove up on the coach to Jerusalem. And so there was a sense, even as we were driving up, that we were approaching Jerusalem and on the main road. And so I began to get a sense even of the colour and the culture of the place before I even entered the gates of Jerusalem, as it were. So you get a picture of the walls that you were coming into, and the types of trees, because even in Israel, the trees look different to the trees that you would see in Britain. And we went into Jerusalem, and it was dark by the time we got in, but in the daytime, I think the first day we went, we were in Jerusalem, was a day off, wasn't it? It was the Tuesday. And so you kindly invited me to go out with you, and I think Tim Vince as well, and there was a couple of other ladies who were on the tour, and we wandered around Jerusalem. I really enjoyed this day, actually, because it gave me some freedom just to see and experience Jerusalem without maybe the structure of a tour, while that was also really helpful. So when we went to Jerusalem, one of the really interesting things I found about Jerusalem was the fact that within this kind of city, within these walls, was all these different cultures and philosophies and religions. And one thing that I found really interesting was that the sense of division in Jerusalem. They have almost the East Wing and the West Wing sort of thing, and there's these factions. And one thing that I found interesting was on top of the houses in Jerusalem, they have these water towers. And if you were a Jew, you would have a white water tower. And if you were a Muslim, you would have a black water tower.
Oh, right.
So visually, even in the city, you could see who belonged where and who was what. And, you know, if I was a Jew, I wouldn't go into this area because they have the black water towers. If I was a Muslim, I wouldn't go into this area because they have the white ones. I just thought that was a really visual kind of aid to describe the friction that exists within the city. But Jerusalem was a fantastic place. Beautiful, beautiful place. You know, there's so much color, and I love the fact that they have this limestone that they build everything with. I think it's a law that you have to build with this limestone. So everything has this, you know, when the Bible describes a city of white, this is the kind of thing that you see, these limestone walls being built up and things. And you know, visually, it's so impressive. I think we have a clip actually. We went to this Austrian hostel, and we went up onto the rooftops, didn't we, after having a nice strudel or something like that. We went up onto the rooftop, and on this rooftop, you could just see out over all of Jerusalem, all over the old city. So maybe if we could just see that clip now, that would be great, just to have a look. Hi, so I'm in Jerusalem today. It's the day off, so I'm not with the tour group, but I've come on a little trip out with Richard Kent and Tim Vincent and a couple of other ladies, and we've come to this hostel, and we've just got this amazing view of Jerusalem, so you can see out over the whole landscape really, and it just gives you a sense of kind of the real culture and the colour and the beauty of the place really.
Welcome back to The Point. If you've only just joined us, I'm interviewing a good friend of mine called Tim Cooling. He's very young, he's only 22, he's 6'7", and we became very good friends on the Revelation TV 10th anniversary tour of Israel in March of this year, 2013, and Tim's talking about his experiences of Jerusalem right now. So back to you, Tim. We're carrying on talking about Jerusalem. Yeah. And by the way, I'm very good friends with Tim Vince, and of course he's an absolute expert on Jerusalem. He spent an awful lot of time there. I'm not an expert on Jerusalem, so I wanted to spend the day with Tim anyway, and you wanted to have a bit of a tour of Israel, and I thought, well, he's the man, not me. So I basically paired the two of you up.
No, it was great as well. It was a great time, really. You know, we spent just wandering around Jerusalem, and you know, we had some great conversations as well, you know, not just about Jerusalem. We were talking, you know, I think we covered all sorts, you know, and it was a great day. And I think one of the highlights as well of the tour, which I wasn't expecting, was these kind of special moments, you know, these spontaneous moments that you wouldn't plan for, and you wouldn't you know, have any idea were about to happen, and then suddenly upon you would be these great moments. And one in particular that stands out to me, and you know, will probably live on in my memory for a long time, was we'd just come from the Wailing Wall, and we were wandering around. I think we were looking for some lunch or something like that, and we were wandering around the back streets of the old city, and I began to hear some music playing, some piano music, and I think that our small group had kind of maybe wandered off a bit, and I was lagging behind, and I heard this music, and it was coming from this old kind of home, and I saw that the door was open, and I just peered in to this doorway, and there was this guy, this Jewish guy, just playing phenomenal piano, and I was just really intrigued, and he saw me, and he invited us in. And so in this room was just some kind of, you know, boxes laid out on the floor. And this guy had obviously set the room up so people could come in, sit down, and just listen to him play. And this guy is called Gershon. You can actually check him out on YouTube as well. He's a phenomenal pianist. He goes around and he does concerts and all sorts, and we had no idea at the time. I've since checked him out, and he's phenomenal. He's so good. And we had about half an hour just this private concert with this guy, and it was just really, really special moment. And I wonder if we could just play maybe a clip. I took a clip on my iPhone, so hopefully it will work.
A message from Gershon.
The message is, I tell people that I have a message for the world. And they say, what's the message? It's my music. I say, oh yeah, but what's the message? That is the message. If I could put it in words, it wouldn't be the message. The message is something that's higher than words, higher than thoughts. It's what you feel when you hear the music, and that special feeling you have, that's the message I have for you. Please carry it with you.
Welcome back. We're talking to Tim now about his experiences of Jerusalem when he came on the tour of Israel in 2013. And that was an amazing piano.
Yeah, Gershon was just an incredible pianist. And I think for me, that moment just reminded me of the power and the beauty of music to stir your soul. I think it was one of those moments, I'm sure you'd agree, where you just felt like this was a special moment. And I really believe that music is just a gift from God, that it can reach into a person's heart and stir something inside of them that maybe wouldn't be stirred otherwise. And Gershon certainly did that with us. It was just an incredible moment. So I think Tim Vince said that he's been doing these tours for countless years, and that was one of the most special moments that he's had on the tour. And for him to say that obviously kind of emphasized the beauty of that moment, really.
Well, Tim actually comes from a very musical family.
Yeah.
And he obviously thoroughly enjoyed it. I love music, but you come from you're quite a musician yourself, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I dabble. I play guitar, I lead worship in my church and things like that. So I really appreciated because I play keyboard. I taught myself keyboard. Right. To see someone of that kind of level and that kind of excellence just playing in a back street somewhere, and to just be able to walk in and appreciate that, you would have to pay so much money to see that. And that was just a special moment. And my trip to Israel was just full of these moments that will last with me for my life, really. So that was certainly something I'll remember forever, really.
That's wonderful. Now, after Israel, we moved on to the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, well, the Sea of Galilee is probably my favorite place in Israel, actually, because Jerusalem, with all its beauty, is very built up. And one of my main reasons for coming to Israel, really, was to get a sense of the place. And this clip here just shows you, I guess, the peace and the beauty and the calm of the Sea of Galilee, really. And we'd come here as a group, and I kind of withdrew from the crowds a little bit. And it says in the scriptures, that Jesus would withdraw to this place. And, you can just imagine Jesus there, sat by the water's edge, contemplating the scriptures in this peaceful environment, and to be able to sit there and to share in that moment with him was just incredible. It was so special. And then when you think about the fact that this is the place where he would have called the disciples, this is the place where he would have walked on water, this is the place where so many miracles happen, where Jesus first began his ministry, and you could just sit there. And to me, it wasn't so much the places themselves that were special. It was the fact that you were sharing in a moment that Jesus had all those years ago. And at the Sea of Galilee, it felt like I could almost transport myself back into those moments and live in the kind of experiences that Jesus would have had. And, you know, that to me was really, really special. I loved the Sea of Galilee so much. Yeah.
And of course, soon after that, we actually went onto the Sea of Galilee in a couple of, I don't know, you call them ships or boats.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were, but they were great. Yeah, that was a fantastic time, really. You know, we went out on these boats as a group, and I think we went into the centre and we tied the boats together or something like that, and we just had a time of worship on the Sea of Galilee. And
just before you talk about that, I think Leslie asked, you know, about different nationalities present. I think there was something around about 150 people present. I can't remember, something like that.
Yeah.
And can you remember how many different nationalities were present?
I have in my mind either 30 or 50. It was one of those two numbers. It was a considerable amount of nationalities.
An unbelievable number.
Yeah.
An unbelievable, you know,
fantastic,
it just
wasn't
been
it?
Christians from all over the world. And the one thing that we all had in common was Jesus.
Yeah. So powerful, isn't it? So powerful when you have all these cultures. This is the beauty of church, really, isn't it? You know, that whatever your age, whatever your culture, whatever you look like, whoever you are, you know, you always have that sense of commonality that we are brothers and sisters in Jesus. And that's what makes church special. And really, that was something great about going onto the Sea of Galilee. You could look around and see all these people worshiping Jesus, and, you know, from all different cultures, all backgrounds, all drawn to this place because of Jesus, all here because of Jesus, all redeemed by Jesus, and all worshiping Jesus. And this is, you know, so special and so powerful. And we had a time of worship, and then we had a time just praying for one another and this kind of thing. And it was particularly powerful. So yeah, maybe we have a video. This is me reflecting on my time on the Sea of Galilee.
So I'm here on Lake Galilee, and it's been a really special moment. Just been praying and worshiping God on this boat, and, you know, just been praying for people, and just a real sense of peace and the power of God in the place. And yeah, one of the highlights of the trip, really. One of my experiences, you know, it's just been, it's not been just educational, but actually I've grown. I've gone deeper with God, and that's been the most important thing. Not that I just learn, but that actually I experience Him and fall more in love with Him. I just pray that as I go into kind of the next few days and then finally back to Britain, that will just grow and develop, and I just want to love God more and serve Him more. And,
welcome back. We're talking about a tour of Israel with my good friend here, Tim. And to that experience, let me just tell you actually that Leslie thinks that is the highlight of the tour. Well, I must say, for me, it is the highlight of the tour. That and the Garden Tomb, I think, for me, is the most special. But what about your thoughts?
Yeah, that was a particularly powerful moment. I think you kind of just then you got an insight into, you know, what was happening inside of me. I'd come on this tour to not just have an educational experience or a holiday, but actually to grow in my relationship with God, because, you know, really that's what I want to do. I want to know God more. I want to know Jesus more, serve Him more, love Him more, that kind of thing. And I think that moment was particularly powerful because you get space just to begin to worship together and pray together. And while there is that sense that we do pray and things during the tour, really the whole tour combined in this one moment on the Sea of Galilee. You can worship God, and then you open your eyes and you see just the Sea of Galilee behind you in this real beauty, picturesque kind of place. You know, it's fantastic. It's great. Yeah, it's good.
Now we've got to move on, because soon after that we were going to the River Jordan to baptize.
Yes.
So perhaps you'd like
This is brilliant. This is brilliant. So part of the tour is that you spend time with people and you get to know people, and it was really great on the tour. I got to know so many people and actually made real friends and developed a real love for the people on the tour. And as part of this, I was asked to baptize people in the River Jordan. Now, I hadn't told anyone at the time, but this was my first baptism service. I hadn't done a baptism service before. So my first baptism service was on was in the River Jordan, and that to me was just mind-blowing. That was fantastic. I was so excited about that. But as well as that, I was able to baptize people that I'd grown to love and care for. And there's one guy in particular. There was many people that I could have spoken about, but this one guy made an impression on me because of his evident love for Jesus. And this to me, this guy was just so in love with Jesus, it was contagious. His passion just overflowed out of him, and you couldn't help but kind of catch a glimpse of his relationship with God. So I just before we baptized, his name's David, and just before I baptized him, I did a little kind of impromptu interview. So maybe if we could play the clip and you get a sense of who David was.
So I'm with David here, and we're at the River Jordan. We're both wearing some fine gowns, and David's just going to tell us a bit about why he's decided to get baptized.
Yeah, I'm 78 years old. I was baptized from my grandfather when I was about a month old. I was an infant birth, complete submersion, but I've never got baptized since. And I've had a conviction from David Parsons' ministry that I should be baptized again. So I thought this was a great opportunity to come here and be baptized where my Saviour was baptized. I'm born again. I'm a bit choked off, but I'm born again. I trust in the blood of Jesus and in his precious name. There's power in the blood, there's power in the name. Now I want to have power going into his to be associated with his death and to come up as he came up out of death, resurrection, the risen Lord. That's my Saviour. He's risen, he's glorified, he's the bright and morning star, he's everything to me. My life is everything. I lost my wife, but I still got Jesus.
Bless him.
And I found another friend in my friend Tim, who's going to baptize me today. God bless him and bless the whole of his congregation. God bless you. Thank you.
Well, welcome back. Sadly, we're coming to the end of this particular To The Point, but I just want to ask Tim to just tell the viewers what he basically felt about his trip to Israel, what he felt about the Church Without Walls, because we're all part, whether you're a viewer or a guest or a presenter, it doesn't make any difference. We're just part of the Church Without Walls. Over to you, Tim.
Yeah, so I think for me, this trip was full of special moments, and this is really what surprised me about the trip, was that in amongst all the great sights and the coach journeys and all this kind of stuff, there were moments where you would just find these people or these places or whatever that would just inject you with a passion and a love for Jesus again. And whether it was David, as you just saw, who just clearly loved God, or whether it was just sitting on the Sea of Galilee and experiencing the peace that was there. For me, these kind of things just ignited my imagination, ignited my passion for God, ignited my love for Jesus. And I definitely came away from this trip just more in love with God. And that's really my heart's desire, to know God more and to love him more. I think for me as well, I describe it to people that before I went to Israel, I was reading my Bible and imagining things out of my own experiences, and I would grasp things out of my own kind of knowledge of the world and environment around me. So the trees were British trees and the roads were British roads. But when I went to Israel, suddenly my imagination was placed inside a reality. So the roads became these dusty red roads, and the rocks became these white sandy stone, and the trees were suddenly Israeli trees. And I just got a complete grasp of that. So now when I read the Bible, it's clear to me I see Israel. So yeah, back to Richard.
Well, sadly, we come to the end of this particular program, To The Point. I would love to hear from you. Any thoughts about my dear friend Tim and his ministry? If you've got any thoughts, please write to us at info@revelationtv.com. And if you've got any questions to ask Tim, please write to him. You can get to him either through his website, but also through info@revelationtv.com. And I'm sure we'll be having Tim back again. And thank you so much for joining us. To me, Israel is very special, not only because that's where Jesus walked, but also make some lovely friends there. All the people, all the lovely viewers from Revelation TV, and lovely people like Tim as well. God bless you, and thank you for joining us.